What is going on, everybody? Thochi AK here. As you can basically see, I posted some chart analysis, swing chart markup on my Telegram community, and I want to break it down for you all right? Because most of this space is in the picture format and the detailed breakdown is not here. As you can see, I posted GBPUSD 450 pips, EURJPY 800 pips, EURNZD 500 pips by markup, then CAD-JPY 718 pips sell markup chart. All right, all the pays are basically here, but if you look at the pay, you can discover that the detailed analysis cannot really be displayed in this format. All right, because most of these pays are swing trading pair. All of these pays are swing trading analysis, and these are the pays that I'm looking at taking within this week and other weeks to come. All right, so as you can see, this GBP USD, this EURJPY, this EURNZD, and this CAD-JPY. All right, so this is it that I posted on my Telegram community in the morning. So, and I want to break it down for you all so that you actually understand the strategy behind this markup that I did posted here. All right, so if you are not yet in my Telegram community, kindly join, because we have been doing a whole lot of great things on this Telegram community. It's basically free of charge to join, so just click on the link in the description and join this Telegram community. I've been sending and sharing a whole lot of insane markup charts, all right, just to help you analyze your own trade. And also, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, all right, so that you will be notified anytime I drop a new video like this. So having that said, let's quickly dive into the video and let me start explaining some of these markup chart. The first one we have is what? GBP USD, British pounds US dollar for sell, and this is about what? 450 pips. So I'll simply get straight to my chart and show you what I saw and what made me take the trade. So if you basically come to GBP USD, so if you basically look at GBP USD, you can to discover that GBP USD has been in a very bearish move. All right, it has been in a bearish move for a very long time. For more than a month now, GBP USD has been in a very bearish move, all right, in a sell mode. So basically, we are not looking at taking any trade against the trend. That is why we are swing traders, all right, to be able to capture a whole pip move. And for you to capture a whole pip move, you should be looking at taking the trade in the direction of the trend. We are forex traders, we are not going against the trend. So if you basically look at this trade now, you tend to discover that this is the word first touch, here is the word second touch, but I somehow adjusted this trend line after this second touch. All right, if you have not watched my video on trend line strategy, go and watch it. The link will be in the description and I might put it somewhere on the screen, so ensure you watch it after this so that you'll be able to understand how to trade forex using trend line strategy. All right, so there happens to be the word second touch. Here is the first touch, here's the second touch, then there happens to be what? The third touch, and I was able to picture an entry within this here. That is why you're seeing this counter trend line here, which enabled me to picture an entry within this area, and I was able to rally it down. All right, so if you have not also watched my trade on my entry criteria, the strategy that I use to enter a trade, ensure you watch it. I will also place it on the description and also somewhere on the screen. Ensure you also watch it so that you will be able to understand this video more. So after this big rally to the downside, what happened? You tend to discover that the market also came back to came back to this trend line again on the third touch and on my psychological level of 1.2 700. And I'm sure you can also see this counter trend line, which is one of the things that I use to find my entry in the market, all right, and also candlestick formation, psychological level. Just ensure you watch my entry criteria video so that you will get a knowledge on how I enter my trade. All right, so after this third touch, what happened again? We were able to capture this trade and it rally all the way down. All right, after rallying all the way down, what are you seeing now? It basically comes back to this particular trend line, all right, and now makes what was about to make what a fourth touch, which is basically what we are waiting for this trade to finally get to our zone here. Then we will picture an entry here and then rally it down here. But however, this is a fourth touch of the market, and if you have watched my trend line strategy, there is basically something I talked about when the market comes and make a fourth touch. I might not be revealing that on this video because I have already made a video about that. I'm not here to teach you how to trade forex through its trend line strategy. I'm just here to show you what I saw and what made me take this trade. All right, so if you basically wait, so let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so here now being the fourth touch of this market. Remember what I said, we are going to be waiting for, if what we are expecting happens within this area, then we are definitely going to be going short on this video. We are still waiting for it to do what, to get to this zone, which is on our psychological level of 1.2400. If what actually occur on the fourth touch of a trend line happens, then we might not really be looking at selling. We might be looking at what, something like this happening. But however, if that doesn't occur, then definitely we will be looking at selling this. All right, so for you to understand what I mean on what I just said, ensure you go and watch the video on my trend line, on my trend line strategy that I have posted. I'll also be putting the link somewhere on the screen. All right, so basically if you look at it, GBPUSD, it is basically very clear. All right, do not chase the market. Do not chase the market, because what is going on within this area might be deceptive, so that you might start looking for what, going short within this area here. But if you are a patient trader, remember, patience is the key in the market. We are not going to be tricked or deceived with this. If the market starts to go down, good and fine. All right, we might not be looking for an entry again, or however, if we start selling, all right, and then give us an entry within any of these area, then we might go ahead and jump into it. But not until then. We are still looking for the market to come to our psychological level of what, 1.2400, as you can see here, 1.2400, before we should be looking for entry criteria to take this trade here. All right, and if you look technically, you can discover that this trade, this is 450 pips market. As you can see here, it is 450 pips, and this is 550 pip. Is a swing trading markup. I'll be looking at this within this week and subsequent weeks to come, until eventually the market happens to do what we anticipated. So this is what I'm looking for on GBPUSD. So let me basically go to the next chart, all right, which happens to be EURJPY. As you can see on EURJPY, I'm basically looking for what, a buy. But however, looking for a buy, I'm waiting for it to drop to my psychological level 140.000 before I start looking for going what, long. So this is it that I shared on my Telegram community. I will simply go ahead on the chart. All right, this EURJPY is 800 pips, is 800 pips markup chart. So I will simply get straight to the chart and show you what I saw and what made me take this trade. So basically this is EURJPY, all right, which you can basically see here. This is 800, this is 809.7 pip markup for a buy. So if you basically look at it, you can to discover that the market has actually been buying for a very long time. All right, where this happens to be the first touch, here happens to be what, the second touch, and we were able to also find an entry within this area, which happens to be what, the third touch, and we are basically rallying it all the way up. But based on some certain things that is occurring, all right, we are not jumping into the market, we are not pursuing the market, we are basically waiting for what, we are strongly waiting for the market to give us a kind of retracement within this area back to our psychological level of 100, back to our psychological level of 140.00 before we should start looking for what, a long. All right, we are not chasing the market. If you make a mistake of trying to take the trade somewhere here, if you make the mistake of trying to take the trade somewhere here, all right, to rally it up, you might have a problem in putting your stop loss. All right, because remember, every strategy has stop loss criteria. If I take this trade here, that means my stop loss criteria will definitely not be met, and because of that, I am not going to take this trade. It's not a good setup for me. But based on your strategy and you basically see anything that will make you take this trade from all the way up, fine, good for you. But based on my own strategy, it is not giving me a good and perfect entry to take this trade from here and rally it all the way up. That's why I'm basically waiting for a little retracement somewhere here, so I'll be able to pick an entry within this area and rally it all the way up. And now let me show you why here happens to be what my take profit. I'm on a 4-hour time frame, but what the way I trade as a swing trader is top-down analysis, which is you going from a higher time frame down to the lower time frame. This analysis were actually made what, from the higher time frame, which is weekly, daily, down to the what, to the 4-hour time frame. And because I'm not yet looking for my entry, that's why I've not scaled down to a very lower time frame of 1 hour and 15 minutes to picture my entry. Most of the times I do not even use 15 minutes for entry, I use 1 hour. I use 1 hour for my what, entry. So if the market finally gets to my zone, I'll scale down to 1 hour and then enter my trade. Sometimes I might use 4H for confirmation, candlestick confirmation. So I'll simply go to the weekly time frame and show you what I am saying about the take profit. So basically, if you look at it from a daily time frame, all right, you can to discover that there has been a very strong what, a very strong resistance that we are basically waiting for, which is this. All right, there happens to be the first touch, and on a psychological level of what, 150.00. All right, so this happens to be what, the first touch on a support, sorry, on a resistance. Actually, I've also made a video about support and resistance. If you have not watched it, ensure you go ahead and watch it so that you will tend to discover what you are going to do when the market eventually comes back and make a touch here, giving you another second touch on this what, on this resistance. And the video will also teach you whether you are going to sell on, or whether you are going to wait for a break and retest, then you keep what, buying. Is well explained on that video. The link will be on the description, and I will also be placing it somewhere on the screen. Ensure you watch it after this. So basically, this is why my take profit is here, which I already have as a box here. All right, and if you scale down to my 4-hour time frame, then you can to discover that it will be much more bolder for me to be able to picture out this entry. So when I scale down to a lower time frame, you tend to discover this trend line, and that is how we're able to do what, to get this entry. And if we take it, we'll be perfectly waiting for the market to finally get back to this resistance before we should even think of changing direction and taking a sell. So this is what I saw on EURJPY, and what actually made me to post it on the Telegram community, which is here, as you can see. So the next chart that I did posted is actually what, EURNZD for a buy. So this particular EURNZD, I've actually been on a buy on it right from here. I've been on a buy from it, all right, actually holding it and rallying it all the way up here. So this is a kind of a continuation trade, to be able to jump in and still follow this trend. I think I shared this on my Telegram community some weeks ago. I can't actually trace it, though I'm not sure whether I did share it or not, because I do not share all my charts on the Telegram community. I just share few to help you in taking and analyzing your trade. All right, so let me simply go to the chart and show you what I saw and why I was able to do what, why I was able to picture out this entry and send it out. And that one is what, 500 pips. So let me go to EURNZD. So basically this is it for Euro what NZD, and we are already even running in profit. We're already even running in profit already. The time I posted this chart was in the morning when I did my analysis. I sent it to the Telegram community in the morning, but I'm making this video at night. All right, I'm making this video at night. I do not trade on Monday. Today is Monday evening as at the time I'm making this video, but I analyzed this pay in Monday morning and shared it to my Telegram community. I do not trade on Monday for my own personal reasons. So just basically the same strategy, all right, the same strategy. You tend to discover that here happens to be the first touch. But however, let me talk on how I was able to picture this entry first. All right, this was a basic trend line, as you can see here, which here was first touch, second touch, no, third touch, fourth touch, fifth touch, and what, sixth touch. So on this sixth touch, we were able to picture an entry within this area. All right, this was actually my entry criteria, but I think something happened and the chart actually got shifted. But here was actually my entry with stop loss just above here, and we discovered that we are going to be rallying it all the way to this trend line you are seeing here, because this analysis was done on a higher time frame, and I'm going to switch over to a higher time frame to show you that in a second. All right, so after this, then this early morning, I was also able to picture out some continuation trend, which I was able to share, which happens to be here. All right, the markets have actually made this first touch. All right, I was able to adjust this trend line after this. Here happens to be the first touch, second touch, and then third touch. So basically on this retracement here on my psychological level of 1.6400, I tend to discover and see some entries within this area. I decided to share it with the community. However, this is just a continuation trade of this. All right, a continuation trade of this, which basically means if you miss taking it here, you can also look for an entry. You miss taking it here and you also miss taking it here, then you can still look for an entry and still go in that particular direction. All right, the right place you would have taken the trade is here, which is 1, then next place, which is here 2, and then here now, which is here 3. However, the market might retrace a little bit here, and then you finally take it on 1.6700 before it finally starts going up. All right, so let me basically go to the daily time frame and show you all what I saw and how the real top-down analysis did happen. So basically this is the analysis on the daily time frame, which you can basically see here. However, if you look at it in overall trend, the trend has been it has been bearish. On general overall trend, it has been very it has been very bearish. So but however, it has been very bearish on the weekly and daily time frame. All right, which you can see this trend line here. You can basically see this trend line here. All right, where a touch is made here, a touch is made here, and also this descending trend line, a touch is made here, a touch is made here. So it has actually touched here 1, touched here 2. So now currently on its journey back to touch this particular trend line again. However, it might not actually touch it and start coming down. It might kind of tend to get into this support area on our psychological level of 1.7 400 before dropping down. All these things are well explained on my trend line strategy and support and resistance strategy for beginners. All right, so this is what I did saw on the weekly time frame to understand what the weekly time frame is doing. So looking at the weekly time frame, you tend to discover that it's still on a bullish trend until it gets towards this trend line or this resistance before you should start taking a sell. And that was why I was able to do I was able to scale down to a lower time frame on 4 hour time frame to be able to see the clear chart clearly. All right, the clear chart clearly. We are swing traders and not position traders. All right, so that was why I was able to do what, see that the market still have to make over 500 pips before I should even think of selling. So instead of missing all these 500 pips, all right, so what are you going to do? You have to do what? Capitalize on it, look for an entry within somewhere here and fake the trade. However, from this area was about what, this was about 700 pips. All right, it's about 700 pips from the earlier trade. So why will you miss it? You don't have to miss it. You just have to find an entry, rally it all the way to where it's meant to be before now thinking of what, selling it from this area. So basically that is what I saw on what I saw on EURNZD for 500 pips, which is basically what you are seeing here. All right, so do not forget, guys, if you are not in the Telegram community, it's free to join. Ensure you click on the link in the description and join. So the last but not the least trade that I did send out here is what, CAD JPY. So CAD JPY is actually for a sell. All right, I think that's the only trade that is for a sell here. GBPUSD is for a sell, EURNZD is for a buy, then EURJPY is actually for a buy. So GBPUSD and CAD JPY is the only trade that reads for a sell, and GBPUSD and EURJPY is actually the only trade that reads for a what, for a buy. So coming to you, CAD JPY. So coming to CAD JPY, you tend to discover that what is actually a sell trade, and this particular strategy is somehow different from what I've been talking about. So I'll just go to my chart and show you all what made me take this trade, or rather what made me think that this market is actually going to sell, because I have not taken the trade. Actually, it's a markup chart. I'm still waiting for it to occur. So let me switch over to CAD JPY. So basically this is what CAD JPY. Let me delete this. I do not really like clustering my charts with a whole lot of what analysis that are no longer relevant. So let me switch over to the bigger mode. So basically coming to EURJPY, if I zoom out clearly, all right, or rather let me go to a very much higher time frame of a daily time frame. So basically on CAD JPY on a weekly time frame, like I did tell you, we are top down analysis. Price action trading is all about what, top down analysis, or rather swing trading is actually top down analysis. If you want to be a good and successful swing trader, you need to understand how to analyze starting from the what, starting from the bigger time frame. All right, starting from the bigger time frame, which is from what, from weekly, daily, and then 4 hours. Sometimes you might even get to start from monthly, just depending. All right, but most of the time swing traders start from what, weekly to daily to 1 hour. All right, 4 hours to what, 1 hour. So if you basically look at it from the weekly time frame, you can to discover that the market on the weekly time frame, which you can see here, has been what, making some sort of resistance on my psychological level of 107.00. So here happens to be what, so here happens to be my first touch, here happens to be my second touch, and now I'm currently making a move to the what, third touch. All right, and here being a very strong resistance, we are anticipating that the market will definitely come back to this resistance on psychological level of 107.00. This is what we have intention. All right, the market will get to this resistance before even thinking of selling. So because of that, we have to scale down to the lower time frame to look at what is going on. We already know our intention. Our intention is that the market is going to do what, get up to this 107 before selling. So whatsoever we are looking at is what, buying until the market gets to what, our resistance before we start looking of what on selling. So if you have not watched my video on how to trade support and resistance, ensure you watch it. So now that you have this in mind, the next thing you have to do what is either scale down to a daily time frame or to 4-hour time frame. But since weekly have given me what I want, then I will go to the what 4-hour time frame and break it down. So basically, having it in mind, then I scale down to a little lower time frame of what 4-hour. And if I scale down to a lower time frame of 4-hour, you can to discover what is going on within this area. All right, so you can to discover that the market is yet to make that bullish move. So the market is still making that push, all right, of this area. But however, I looked for an entry within this area. I've yet to see an entry. What I'm waiting for is for two things. This is the first touch. This is the second touch. All right. So I'm basically waiting if there can be any sort of retracement within this area. I might take it on what? On a third touch, rally it all the way up before taking it down. All right. But however, the market might instantly start to go up, and if it eventually starts going up, then I'll now start looking for an entry within this area to rally it all the way down. So basically, all you just have to do is to wait till the market give you a perfect entry. All right, remember guys, every strategy have what we call entry criteria, exit criteria, stop loss criteria, and take profit criteria. If your strategy doesn't have all these things, then you need to work on your strategy or basically change strategy. You do not take a trade if it has not met your stop loss criteria, if it has not met your entry criteria first. If you miss your entry criteria, then you should meet your stop loss criteria and your take profit criteria, and that is what makes a strategy good. And also having a high risk to reward. As you can see, most of these trades have a crazy and insane risk to reward. This that you're seeing here is what 1:6, almost 1:7 risk to reward. All right, the stop loss here is basically 156, and then you take profit of 718. But trust you me, if this market gets to my entry, I'm going to scale down on a lower time frame. This is a 4-hour time frame. I'm going to scale down to a lower time frame and find even a more sniper stop loss of nothing more than 50 pips, and then scale down and capture this trade, following it till it finally gets to my take profit. All right, so that is, and this happens to be what the last trade that I did posted here, which is CAD JPY for what 718 pips, for 718 pips. Yeah, that is it here, 780 pips. As you can see, if you look on my watch list on the right part of my screen, there are still other trades that I'm still monitoring. You can see some charts here with some red click, or rather, or some red marks on it. These are charts or trades that are already close to my entry that I'm going to pay much more attention, but I do not want to paste all of them on the community. All right, like I do, so I do not share all my trades on the community. I just share few so that it will help you in analyzing your own trade. All right, so if you are still not a member of this Telegram community, you should be a part of it. You are gradually growing. All right, so that's great. All right, I do not trade on Monday, so I did not actually take any trade. I'm just basically chilling and waiting. Tomorrow I will hop into the chat and start looking for a perfect entry based on the analysis I have done. With that, you won't be diverting looking for entries from any other zone. So yeah guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it, do not forget to smash that subscription button. And if you want me to be making this kind of video weekly, do not forget to tell me that on the comment section. It will motivate me and encourage me to make more of this video like this. All right, so that will be all for this guys. My name is Tochi Eke. Sign out.